Hi guys, today we're taking a look at my saltwater aquarium under a microscope. I have the 25x eyepiece in and the 40x scope, lens on the microscope. So we're at about 800x here, zoomed out like this. You can see we're looking at a little single-celled organism. It's, I can't pronounce any of this, I only read it, but it's Apidisca, apidisca, I guess. Kind of cute, running around eating some food. Go over here, see what we can find. Looks like a couple little bugs, couple little protozoans. Now this is what's really cool. Do you see over on the right hand side, it almost looks like there's a hand. It's not quite in focus. This video will last for another, 10 minutes. And I'm just looking at this guy. So what I see right now is a sort of vortex that this guy is creating with tiny cilia. Now, I'm trying to figure out what species this is. I have no idea. There is something called a vorticella that acts quite a bit like this guy, except for he doesn't have these like finger-like extensions. You can see that this guy is with, these are 9 different, I'm going to call them fingers, 9 different fingers that protrude. Each one is covered in cilia, and they are oscillating completely around, I believe, completely around each one of the fingers, creating a vortex within the water to suck particulate matter through. As you can see, I nudged the slide there, and he did move, so responds to some stimuli. So I know that a lot of this video doesn't look like it's really in focus that well. 2 things. 1, this is a rented microscope. 2, well, and with a Samsung Galaxy S8 phone trying to videotape through the eyepiece. But 2, especially towards the end of the video, I'm really trying to get a really good look at this guy. Different parts of his cellular membrane and different organelles, try to figure out exactly what he is and see if anybody can give me a little bit of insight into what I'm looking at here. I wouldn't say too, right from here you can actually see that he has a round, they call it a test, which is sort of his cell body, and then a stalk that comes out of him. I know a lot of people who have looked at this video have said, do you think that's attached to something else? Maybe it's something's arm, and it's not. Later on in the video, we'll take a look and see that this is really what I'm calling its leg and foot. But right here, you can see a greener area, greenish-brown area in the center of the cell body. I really think that that's probably a nucleus. You can see a sort of holding area where the matter is getting sucked in by this guy. It seems like he chooses what he wants to keep. Up there goes a little phytoplankton that he didn't seem to like. And the only movement that I'm seeing here is when the currents from the water that he's creating cause him to move. It doesn't seem, he seems completely sessile. He doesn't seem to move voluntarily at all, except when I tap the slide and you can see that he retracts. But there are other organisms like keratella that will actively go after prey. This guy, the only things that it seems like he can actively move are these little fingers. So see the cilia here that are sort of oscillating? I think we've gotten a good enough picture of him here. You can also see the, we'll call it stomach, but it's just a little area where he's sort of a food holding area. Yes, I just don't know what it is. Just for sort of a size comparison, this is with a 25x eyepiece, 40x lens, so that's 800x. On top of that, right here, we've zoomed in about, 1.3x or 1.4x on the Samsung itself. Again, he retracts every time I tap the slide, but that stalk does not respond to anything, and neither does the cell body. It's simply those little fingers. We can just go ahead and watch him here for a minute. it's really difficult to see what he's interested in keeping and what he's not, or if he's stripping some sort of a protein or carbohydrate or whatever off of what he sucks in, or maybe the items that he's sucking in, maybe he only keeps extremely small ones. But right there you can see what he does is gather up quite a few items and then spits them all out as a larger item. He's some sort of filter feeding, I guess. I should note that I did find 2 more of these in the same habitat of water in the saltwater aquarium, and they all do have these 9 finger-like projections covered in cilia. They all do continuously oscillate, and they all seem to have the same basic structure with a vase-shaped lorica, cell body, whatever it might be. There doesn't appear to be any hard structure, no sort of crustacean, nothing on the outside of him like you would see with like a keratella. It looks like it's a fully soft-bodied unicellular organism, best I can tell, especially from the size. You see a little flagellate over there trying to make his way through to wherever. Maybe he'll get eaten. But the number of finger-like projections is not variable. It's 9 on all of the creatures. I've spent, more than a week showing this video to a couple microbiologists and looking it up on Google, and I can't get any feedback as far as what this guy might be. I hope that if you do have a good idea, not just a guess, like, oh, looks like maybe it's a hydra, that kind of stuff, but really what this creature is, I'd love to have a comment down in the comments section. But in just a minute here, I'll zoom in so that you can get some more idea of the individual structures within his body, to see if it helps identify this guy at all. By the way, at the base or foot or end of his stalk or whatever the case is, by the way, that's 800x exactly. At the base of his foot or stalk, you can see one of those, what is it, apodiscas or something, and a couple of other microorganisms that are moving around. And I have checked on the others. There's nothing more to him. His foot just kind of ends there. Let's see. Zoom in a little bit here. There, he just sucked up a ton of stuff, and see, he gathers it all in. I like how he's male, right? He just gathers it all in, and it becomes one larger piece of matter, and then he spits it out eventually. The other things living in the tank are various copepods, a couple different types of paramecium, obviously a ton of phytoplankton, various species, little flagellates, you can see them over there. I can't remember the name of all of the little creatures, but you can see actually right there in the left hand part of the screen what looks almost like a snail's shell, maybe. That's a creature. Sorry, can't remember what it is. But from this view, you can actually see the structure of the stalk, and you can see where the stalk ends. There's a little diatom back there behind him as well. But that's it. That's where the guy ends. And again, you can see just how much water he processes, how much matter he gets through. And it all sort of gathers in this little, I don't know, vacuole. It's not really a vacuole because it's not enclosed. I'll just call it his stomach. So zooming in a little further here, get a little bit better idea of what this stalk and his cell body is made of. obviously I didn't want to stain him and kill him. This was the first one I had ever seen. But I think that this darkening right here in the middle of his cell body is the nucleus. It's, so he's clearly sifting through quite a bit of food. I know he's not quite in focus right now, but this way you can see all of the little phytoplankton that he's sucking up and essentially ejecting. It doesn't seem like he's doing anything with those. By the way, the zooming in and zooming out, that's Samsung S8 trying desperately to figure out why the picture's not in focus. It's really struggling, as you can see. That was me. That's the microscope, sorry. Okay, so here you can see the base of his stalk. This is where it just ends. I know the rest of him really isn't in focus, but this gives you an idea of how it just ends. Again, here's the cell body. The oscillating does not seem to ever stop. And forgive that half the time this isn't in focus, but I'm really trying to focus through him so that we can get a very good picture of what every bit of this is. I'm just waiting for some person to say, oh yeah, that's a da-dink, blah, 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 and I can't believe you didn't know. That's actually a baby Duncan coral. And I'll be like, ah. I have to keep reminding myself that it looks like a single-celled organism. It's the size of a single-celled organism. So it just can't be a, baby such and such coral. And not only that, I don't know what coral would have oscillating cilia like that. I looked up baby zoanthids, baby Duncan corals, and squids, and anemones, and just everything I could think of. This gives a really good idea of what the cell body looks like too. You can see the darkening. These are separate structures on him. And again, we've got our little other zooplankton guy over there at his stalk. There's nothing more to it. And this is a very good size comparison, just to have these creatures of known size next to him.